Thanks so much for choosing us. We begin with the Narcotics Control Board that says it is in the process of confiscating all assets belonging to convicted drug courier Delali Emmanuel, despite claims that some of the assets do not belong to her. An Accra High Court ordered the confiscation of the property of Delali, who is currently serving an 8-year jail term in the United Kingdom. Speaking in an interview with Joy News, Beatrice Edu, the Deputy Executive Secretary of NACOB, Richard Nilante Blangsing, dismissed suggestions the board is pursuing the case in favor of government.
Contents of the shop, Nightingales, have all been confiscated to the state. Then also there are some current accounts of hers, especially with the Fidelity Bank, which has also been confiscated. So specifically, these are the items that are been confiscated and not her houses. Now, the houses are still in contention. We are still in court, especially with the house at East Legon. Then there is another house in Ashanti region. We are in court with the relatives fighting over that property.
What is the contention?
Now the mother is laying claims to the house at East Legon, as well as the property in Ashanti region.
And do you have any proof to suggest that these houses that you're looking at, confiscating as well, she might have acquired them through her drugs trade?
As I said earlier on, the mother is laying claims to them, and it is up to the mother to give a proof of them in court, by providing the necessary documentation to show that really those houses were in her possession before this incident happened. What we are saying is actually true. Most drug dealers hide behind other persons by using proxy names in acquiring properties. That we are very much aware. But all the same, it's a matter of a court matter. She will have to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that actually she worked for it and the property belongs to her, period.
Now, those ones that you have already seized, is there any proof to suggest that she got these because of her involvement in drugs?
Well, those are her personal properties. That is her business, a private business that she's doing. And from every indication, that the proceed is out of the drug trade. And that is why they were seized by the court.
What would you say to critics who would say that you're pursuing this in that manner, just to satisfy a government's quest to tell the whole world that, we are in to fight drugs?
No, that can never be true. Delali's property is not the only property that we are pursuing. There are other properties that we are pursuing, except that we don't come out publicly to announce it. But you realize that recently there was a newspaper publication about Edward Macaulay's property, 2 of his properties in Dansuma, which were similarly seized. So there are other properties that we are pursuing. And it's not up to us to be coming out regularly to tell people this is what we are doing.
Now, Ghanaian Austrian lady Delali Emmanuel was arrested on November 10 at the Heathrow Airport after attempting to enter the UK with the cocaine in her hand luggage. She was subsequently charged with Class A drug trafficking and was arraigned before court. Forensic analysis of the cocaine showed 79% purity, and the street value is estimated at about £1.8 million. She admitted in her first appearance through video link that she's guilty of the charges leveled against her carrying cocaine into the UK. Let's do politics now, because cracks in the Menchia North MPP continue to deepen as polling station and constituency executives threaten chaos if any attempt is made to carry out a National Executive Council directive to rerun all elections in the constituency. The local executives accuse the National Executive Council of hypocrisy. They have given the NEC 48 hours to produce proof of the judgment cited as the reason to rerun the elections in the constituency. Clad in red armbands and headgear, the over 200 delegates and executives chanted songs and threatened to resist the NEC decision. The journey to Manhyia North Parliamentary primaries has been filled with drama, agitations, vested interests, and legal actions. Recently, the National Executive Council of the NPP tasked former Chairman Peter McMahon and Minority Leader Sir Chairman Sabunsu to conduct a rerun of elections in some 193 polling stations. A 13th March date was fixed for parliamentary primaries. But NEC has ordered a rerun of all the constituency elections, citing a Supreme Court ruling which nullifies the existing album. But the constituency executives disagree. They say there's no such ruling and threaten to resist the move. They've also asked their lawyers from Obing Menu Chambers to write to the National Executive Council of the NPP, copying all relevant arms of the party, detailing facts and documents indicating there is no such ruling.
We are putting it on record that their basis for that release was that there is a Supreme Court ruling on the 9th of April 2014. But to be frank with you, my brother, there is no ruling that is dated on the 9th of April 2014. So that is a clear lies and propaganda by our National Executive Committee. Number two, we are giving the National Executive Committee and the party 48 hours to produce any ruling that they have cited in the release that there is a Supreme Court ruling on the 9th of April 2014. We are giving the National Executive Committee up to 48 hours to produce such judgments. Number two, we are stating that even with that consent judgment that they are talking about, the case is still pending at the Kumasi High Court and the Appeals Court respectively. So how can somebody take a consent judgment which is being under investigation to be a basis for everyone in the constituency? That is another point that we are asking, and we are seeking those answers within 48 hours.
But speaking on News Desk earlier, the NPP's Director of Elections, Martin Sakosa, says the party is not seeking to rerun the elections out of its own will. He says the NPP is only implementing the orders of a court. Mr. Sakosa is calling for calm among the constituency and regional executives as party works towards satisfying all disgruntled members.
Well, I don't intend to discuss party matters already, except to do some few corrections.
Right.
The nitty-gritties I'm not interested in discussing.
Sure.
But it is inaccurate if your man says that 197 police officers have been run, and then NEC decided to go and quash and do it from polling station. That is inaccurate. Okay, there is a decision from the court. The party rather thought that it could have run this election by just correcting the problems or the challenges that ought to do with the 197. We actually went ahead to set a date for the election to happen. Midway, we get reminded by documentation from the court, pending much earlier, on such an order to run from the polling station. We have only sought legal advice, both within and without. And the impression is that you cannot overlook the Supreme Court decision to run this from polling station, which has hinged on much earlier. Any process to want to do that takes not less than 6 months, okay, to purge yourself of that order. So you are torn between taking on the long journey to go and purge that contempt order should you fall, or you may want to obey the court's order so that you do it once and for all and leave, which is much easier and much, will be much earlier to achieve, considering that you have some few months to file your parliamentary campaign. It is not the NEC that decided, after the same body has asked that go and rerun the 197 officers at the police station, turn round and say that go and run police station. It's contradictory. Rather, it's the NEC that said go run the 197, put McMahon or Sir was in charge and finish that exercise. We set a date for the constituency election to go on. And then, subsequently, it was brought to attention that, look, there is an order that you have ignored and you need to satisfy the conditions there. And that's where we are. Nobody enjoys these, if you like, disagreements, staying on and being, it's taking everybody's time. Nobody enjoys having these situations on our hands. And so we have chosen a political decision. But now your reporter is giving the opposite of what it is.
Well, Martin, the report we are receiving is based on comments being passed by some of your own regional executives.
But I thought that you could also do your independent verification. As for the allegations and claims, the powers will come. But for me, I'm taking my education from you.
Chairman of the National Peace Council and a member of the VCRAC committee, Most Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, has discredited claims that the 5-member panel set up by the Electoral Commission to look into concerns over the credibility of the voters' register recommended a validation process. According to him, the understanding of the committee members at that time of drafting the report was that the Electoral Commission will put in place mechanisms for those names which are not supposed to be in the register to be deleted, but did not recommend validation to achieve that. Now, on pages 20 and 21 of its 77-page report, the committee recommended voter validation as a means of ensuring a clean voters register ahead of the November 2016 polls. But speaking to Joy News, Reverend Asante said he does not recall the committee dwelling on that term validation, adding that they might have used it knowing there are several ways the Electoral Commission can go about cleaning the register.
I don't really recall us dwelling on that term, validation as such. We might have used it, but my understanding at that time was that, hey, let us make sure that the voters' register is clean in the sense that people whose names are not there should not be there. We need a credible voters' register. And the only thing to go about it is that open it up, let people go, let them search and find out whether their names are there, and let them also make sure that those whose names should not be there should not be there.
In the understanding of the leadership of the Let My Vote Count Alliance and other political parties like the MPP who are pushing for the validation, they say you show up at the polling station, your data is checked, your system is clipped and confirmed. Then if you don't show up, you are assumed to be dead or a foreigner multiple registrant. So the system automatically sets you aside.
I don't think we went into those details, really. Let me make it clear that we were all very much concerned about a credible voters register. And our recommendation was that the Electoral Commission must ensure that they do that which will ensure credible voters register.
There's been a conversation about whether or not your recommendations are binding on the EC or otherwise. Are they?
It was the Electoral Commission that instituted a committee to listen to, the various submissions and make recommendations. We have made our recommendations, and we trust that the Electoral Commission will look at the recommendations carefully and ensure that the suggestions that we have made, together with other documents that they have in respect of the reforms that have been proposed by the Supreme Court, will be forthcoming.
Let's get some reaction from the spokesperson of the Let My Vote Count Alliance, Ibrahim Ajay, who joins us via phone. Good evening to you. Thanks for your time on joining us.
Aisha, very good evening to you as well.
Well, Reverend Emmanuel Asante has explained clearly that the committee did not recommend validation, but he didn't say that the register will not be cleaned. He said the register will be cleaned, but not through validation. So whether validation or exhibition, is it really something to contend?
Well, yeah, there's a difference. And remember, we are speaking to what the panel themselves have put in their page report. It's a 77-page report, but with all the other party anecdotes, it comes to 156 pages. And now in that report, that the Most Reverend Emmanuel Asante fails to recognize is that they speak on page 17, in fact, that the exhibition in itself is not practicable. And it's important that he understands this, because he shouldn't speak from memory. He should speak to the document. And I was hoping to be in the studio, then I could actually, bring the document fili, as they say in our local parlance there. Registration and exhibition are two different things. What validation does, it makes sure that the Electoral Commission themselves know that the person standing in front of them is indeed the true owner of the card. Because when you appear, as per their report, you put your fingerprint on the machine, the BVR reader, the biometric verification reader, will say that, yes, this is really Aisha Ibrahim or Ibrahim Ajay, and then the full process of you being validated as being the true person is then credited on the machine, and then, of course, those who don't turn up are then removed or deleted from the system as well. And I fail to understand how the Most Reverend Emmanuel Asante doesn't speak to the document. He should just speak to the document and, as a man of God, say the correct thing.
Well, so what do you intend to do about this? Because it looks clearly that the EC is not going to go validation. It has its own plans.
Well, I mean, that's the EC's own decision. What we can do as Democrats is to continue to argue for a level playing field for everybody. And it's amazing that, the Electoral Commission are running away from their own recommendations. It beggars belief, and it makes you wonder what do they have to hide? And when they did validation in Nigeria, Aisha, 16 million fake ghost names were removed. Now, don't we want that kind of system? The EC themselves said that it's a bloated register, it's not credible. Then you've given solutions to cure this.
Is it only validation that can remove ghost names?
Remember, it's their position. I'm not arguing what Let My Vote Count Alliance wants. It's their position that they've asked for verification. And I saw you earlier on screen when you were asking Mr. Ofosu Ampofo that when he goes to page 19 of other processes that the EC, the panel, are considering, they talk about validation and verification of voters.
But the EC is not binded, or this is not binding on the Electoral Commission. They have the will to, or they have the power to change their minds anytime. The most important thing is clearing the register, which they haven't said they won't do.
Well, you know what? It's interesting. Yes, you're right. It's not binding. I want to quote you page 17 of the report, and I'm hoping that maybe you'll contact the Most Reverend Emmanuel Asante and read this to him verbatim, but I'm sure he has a copy. Right. But let me read it. It'll take 10 seconds. It says, point 7 of page 17 of the report, it says, judging by the sheer numbers, the Electoral Commission's proposition to display the register, which is exhibition, with political party representatives, the Electoral Commission and citizenry to identify and point out invalid names is not a viable approach. That's the panel saying that exhibition alone is not a viable approach. Then they go on and it says, I'm quoting verbatim, Aisha, it says, particularly when the persons who identify these records are expected to expend their time, energy, and resources not only to provide the evidence, but also to testify before a court of competent jurisdiction. Now, that's page 17 of the report. They're saying that exhibition alone is not viable. It's not a viable approach because when let's say, for example, Aisha, I see your name there, and I'm of the view you should not be there. I have to now go through a court process. That's why 3 months before the election, you see I-72 says you have to display the register. Now,
so you will contest this because you certainly do not agree with the Electoral Commission.
We don't agree with the Electoral Commission at all. But remember,
many thanks
we are
to
looking,
you,
Aisha, we are looking at the panel report, and the report says due validation. And Most Reverend Emmanuel Asante somehow has lost his memory. And in order to refresh his memory, I would hope you call him tomorrow and just read him the document that he is a signatory to.
Well, many thanks to you, Ibrahim Ajay. We'll be waiting for your press conference tomorrow and see what you come up with. Meanwhile, the Director of Elections for the ruling NDC has described as needless controversy over the voters' register being championed by the Let My Vote Count Alliance and the NPP.
It's a needless controversy, very, very needless. The NPP as a party has to have a position on this issue. And we have met at the Electoral Commission at IPAC meeting. The last meeting was held a couple of weeks ago. The Electoral Commission has rolled out its roadmap towards the election, and it was very clear that what the Electoral Commission is embarking upon is the exhibition of the voters' register. Indeed, the Electoral Commission has decided this time around to bring some innovations. The chairperson indicated to us, for instance, that they are contacting some certain state institutions like the Controller Accountant General and other death and others to be able to delete the name of deaf people from the register. Again, the Electoral Commission is going to open the register up and give political parties and individuals and interest groups the opportunity to scrutinize the register. And if you have any, misgivings, challenge against any person whose name should not be in the register, you are permitted to do so.
So you feel the extended exhibition is what we need and not the validation?
Validation is a non-issue at all because it's not backed by law, and we cannot, under a voluntary registration system, decide that people should be compelled to go and validate it, which means that if you have traveled, for instance, outside the country, and the Electoral Commission opens their register for exhibition, and you do not come to check your name, it means that when you come back to Ghana on the election day, you cannot go and vote.
We'll take a break on Joy News Prime. We'll be back with more. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Let's get on to the rest of our stories. A 31st March deadline given to nomadic herdsmen to vacate Agogo and neighboring communities has been flouted by the herdsmen who reports say are still shepherding their cattle in the area. Agitated natives have therefore warned they are running out of options and will be forced to take the law into their own hands to drive the herdsmen out. They also blame government and the security agencies for doing very little to save the situation. Now, speaking on the polls, representative of the Agogo Worldwide Association, Sam Enyankusi, described as frustrating the manner in which the state has handled this issue.
We couldn't have asked anything better than the way we have managed the whole process since these issues erupted. Okay, we have gone to court. We have a court order that simply should be executed. This is 4 years, my brother, and we are so engaged in these atrocities. People can't go to the farms. It's so scary. Okay, this is a farming season. This is a planting season. Come to Agogo. You can't even find plantain to buy. I was just passing by, and people were wondering whether they wanted to have fufu this afternoon, and they were just sharing with me they cannot even find cassava to buy. Agogo, my brother, the farming that is going to come as a result of what has gone on this year is amazing. The food produce that come from Agogo in support of our economy. Again, the fact that these people have prevented our farmers, to go to the farm so that they can do what they do and make their living and also to support our economy. They cannot do that.
Okay, now I get you. We know how bad the problem is and the need for it to be fixed. But here's the thing. We know that Operation Cowleg is already underway. They are doing all they can, the security agencies, to get to the bottom of this matter. So then I ask, will your demonstration change anything? Would you not?
I don't know whether they are doing all they can. I don't know whether the security people are doing all they can. Okay, that's our frustration. Because when we had all the security top leaders come to Agogo, met the community with the district assembly and came up with a plan, we all gave the benefit of the doubt because we have gone through this process before, it didn't work. Okay, so this time when they all came here, it gave us some assurance that perhaps this time around they are going to be serious. But all we see is there's lack of commitment from the government. So the government has failed us. We have been disappointed by the government.
We can now speak with my colleague in Shura FM's Ohiming Teria for the latest on this matter. What was the outcome of the meeting between the local council of churches and the Agogo Worldwide Association in Shura?
Yes, the meeting was to call for the support of the local council of churches and other religious bodies and groups to join tomorrow's march. So at the end of the meeting, they all agree that indeed this is an issue that affects the whole residents or the whole community of Agogo. So whatever it is, they will also encourage their members to take part in tomorrow's march. And this particular demonstration is not only being organized by the Agogo Worldwide Association. There are 3 groups, the Agogo Youth Association and another group. And also, I'm told the Traditional Council will also join tomorrow's protest. So what they are trying to do is to canvass for the support of all residents to take part in tomorrow's exercise, just to let the whole world know that indeed they are not happy with the way, for instance, government has handled the Agogo nomadic herdsmen issue. So all residents should be on board.
But government has intervened severally, and I recall that the police has intervened anytime such issues occur. On what basis are they saying they're not happy with how government is handling this issue?
Yes, for those of us, for some of us, we know that indeed there has been some government interventions, but for residents of Agogo, they look at it from a different lens. What they want to see is all the cattle and the nomadic herdsmen being moved away from their community. So indeed, if you talk about government interventions, yes, there have been some police and military presence, but that is, for them, is not enough. All that they want to see is for the presence of the military and the police replicate into what will be the total peace for residents. They want to wake up one day and see that they can have the free, they can go to their farm freely without fear or anything. So for them, yes, that is how they see it. Irrespective of government interventions, they still think that government, with all the power and all the authority, should have done better than what they are seeing now.
Well, many thanks to your Heming for that update. Now, still to come in this bulletin, Public Accounts Committee set to invite the Ghana Football Association to appear before it and respond to why it has failed to pay monies owed the Foreign Affairs Ministry since 2011. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with business. Time now for business, and Emmanuel is here. Emmanuel, good evening.
Hi, Aisha. Good evening.
Looking great
and officially welcoming you back from your leave.
Thank you so much. I missed you guys. But yes. Last week it was the Bank of Ghana governor who was leaving for his deputy to take over.
Well, yes.
Now it's
second deputy.
So now directives to improve financial sector.
Well, actually,
what are we talking
there
about?
were some upheavals in the microfinance industry. I mean, especially the DKM saga.
So who is instituting this measure? The one who took over, or it's been there before he went out?
Yeah, currently is the deputy governor. That's Minister Na, who has indicated plans to actually bring up some regulations to enhance the microfinance sector of the industry. I think it's the right direction.
Well, let's see how it goes.
Yes. All right. So thank you for joining me on the business segment. The Bank of Ghana has indicated plans to soon issue a number of directives geared towards enhancing regulations in the financial sector. Deputy Governor Millicent Na disclosed this at the 25th anniversary launch of NDK Financial Services Limited. More in this report.
According to the Deputy Governor, the directives would be in the areas of risk management and corporate governance, among others. This has become critical following recent crisis in the microfinance sector, which has seen several depositors lose their funds. Mr. Na said the central bank is also working to pass key laws that should avert such developments in the near future.
In the area of regulatory framework, the Bank of Ghana is also revising the existing Banking Act, and soon the new banks and SDI bill will be passed into law to address the identified gaps in the existing Act. The Deposit Protection Bill is also about to be passed by Parliament to provide protection for small savers. Indeed, the two laws are being taken together. We've been to face the Finance Committee of Parliament, and we're taking them through all these laws. I think it's gone through first reading, second reading, so hopefully when they come back, these laws will be passed, and we'll have a better framework for dealing with these companies that are going down.
NDK Financial Services Limited is a leading finance house in Ghana with a total asset base of over 500 million Ghana cedis. The founder, Okonikwe Jani, said the company is now targeting to expand its operations by root out evolving into a universal bank.
There's a very thin line between what we do and what the banks do. So there's no need to want to move into banking. Some desire they want to go into banking, but we don't think that it is necessary at all. We don't have any disadvantage of being a finance house. We intend to move to Takoradi, but again, you want to consolidate your gains before. We are not in a hurry. But remember that even though we are in Accra, that is not to say that we cannot do business far away in Takoradi.
NDK Financial Services Limited has grown from a sub-strength of 2 to about 90 currently, with 2 branches, one in Accra and the other in Tema.
Away from that, mango traders are expected to cash in as the crop season sets in, but those at the Tema station here in the capital Accra are rather counting their losses as their produce are going bad because of lack of ready market. Etonam Say has more.
Mango is one locally grown crop whose economic potential cannot be overemphasized. It can be processed for exports, making the Export Development and Agricultural Investment Fund (EDIF) invest in it as a foreign exchange earner for the country. It is also consumed locally as a fruit. But Margaret, a trader, tells Joy Business the mangoes transported all the way from Angloga are wasting away because of the lack of buyers.
We bring mangoes from Angloga to Giwi, all in the Volta region. The journey to Accra is far, and on arrival, the mangoes go soft, and so if you don't find people to buy on time, you run at a loss. We don't have any storage system for the mangoes. Our main customers are the traders in the market who retail the mangoes. These days, they complain of lack of money, so they don't buy well.
Other traders are forced to reduce the cost of the mango in order to speed up sales.
We bring
And we want government to push for that. A basket of mango is sold for 100 cedis, but people complain it's expensive. So now we have reduced it to 80 cedis.
The traders are therefore calling for government's intervention to boost local demand for the mangoes.
Companies that produce mango juice should come and buy from us so we can have a ready market.
The traders also want a demarcated space for storage of their produce here at the Tema station.
Now, the Tourism Ministry says all is set for the licensing of tourist sites across the country. The ministry has passed a new law which mandates it to check and register tourist sites to ensure they conform to recommended standards. Director Procurement and Protocol at the Tourism Ministry, Edwin Usumensa, tells Joy Business this would help increase revenues accrued from tourism. He spoke to Joy Business. The destination at Legon seminar and exhibition was sought to encourage repeat visits of tourism sites.
Now we are going to register and license all tourist sites. You know, it's in the new Tourism Act, that Act 217. So right now, when we license, it means you must go by certain standards. If you don't meet the standards, then you can't open to the public. So I believe that that is one way we can use to get the tourist sites to be up and doing. apart from just collaborating, talking to them and so on. It will bring a lot of change, because if you can't, let's say your waterfall, people can't visit it because you don't have a visitor center. You'll be forced to build a visitor center. You'll be forced to put up washrooms and so on. Yes. Another major strategy is to bring the district assemblies to involve them. That's what we are doing. Because every attraction is in a district, and the districts get more money from these attractions than even central government does. So we are trying to get them to open those places.
World Bank is challenging Ghana and other developing economies to improve tax systems for land and real estate. The World Bank wants developing economies such as Ghana to enhance its tax systems for lands and the real estate sector. This, according to the bank, is because such properties are promising avenues for boosting government revenues. In a video conference with selected journalists on the latest Africa Economic Update, Acting Chief Economist, World Bank Africa, Poonam Chauhan Pol, explained it is about time governments developed more tax policies on land use for maximum economic benefits.
Africa is undergoing rapid urban growth. About 470 million people in Africa live in cities, and this number is expected to double in 25 years. There's a narrow window of opportunity to harness the potential of cities as engines of economic growth. And if urbanization is well managed, then cities can provide a major opportunity to offer a springboard for diversification. However, this is not happening in Africa right now. We find that African cities tend to be crowded, disconnected, and costly. They're costly for households, they're costly for firms, which means that African cities have more of a local reach rather than a global reach. And there tends to be a production of non-tradables versus tradables. So it's important to consider what kinds of policies would help make African cities more productive, so that you can unleash the potential of African cities to help transform Africa and to help African countries diversify. And the report flags two very important areas of research. One of this is to reform land markets and urban regulation, and the other one is to coordinate early infrastructure investment.
All right, so it's a Monday, the beginning of yet another market week, and John is here to tell us how the market opened. What's going on, John?
Emmanuel, the market did not really open well, as the GSC Composite Index neither recorded some ups or downs. The market was totally flat, no equity gained or lost basically. But then there were some trades, as the market recorded almost about 78,000 trades as against, but then what do you call it? EcoBank Transnational Incorporated actually led the pack, and then CalBank led the pack after they recorded almost about 69,800 trades in the market today. So that brought total market capitalization to about 54,771.64 million Ghana cedis. Still, you can see the composite index still not doing well, not recovering adequately to actually satisfy the major investors on the market. So no equity moved today this particular market. So that's how come there we have that blank there, no movement. But of course there were some trades, almost to the tune of about 78,000 going on. And then crude oil, good news is that for Ghana as an exporting country, is that crude oil actually moved from 39 to 42 between last week, the weekend, last Friday, and today against almost the after. It's actually very, very significant. So you should be expecting some upward movement or upward adjustment to the kind of the fuel you buy when you actually get to the pump. Gold also did gain, cocoa also did gain, but cocoa gained almost about $34 today. That's quite significant also there. But then in terms of the currencies, the cedi is gradually losing it against the British pound, the euro, and then the Chinese yuan. It's only gained against the United States dollar and then the CFA franc. But then, so for $1, all you need is about 3 Ghana cedis, 83 pesos. You have yourself one. Let's see how. The weekend. This is the beginning of the week. I'm sure by the time we get to the middle of the week, I'm sure some of these things will actually be stabilized, and we know exactly what the strengths actually hold for this particular reform market.
All right.
Operators.
Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome, Emmanuel.
John Amwaku, ending tonight's business segment. My name is Emmanuel Apwaji Riafi. Good evening.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Let's do more on Joy News Prime. The General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana has urged the security chiefs to be professional and not run the security of the country on the back of prophecies. Speaking with Joy News, Mama V. Oso Reverend Dr. Punit Frimpong said security agencies must put in place measures at various ports of entry to avert any possible terrorist attack and leave prophecies for Christians to pray about. His comments follow a warning by popular Nigerian prophet T.B. Joshua that there is an imminent terrorist attack on Ghana and Nigeria. He asked members of the Synagogue Church of all nations on Sunday to pray against the planned foreign attacks. The prophet specifically said the attacks will occur at places where people have gathered. The Christian Council believes that the security agencies in Ghana are not doing enough to prevent possible terrorist attacks.
The gifts that God has given to the church that we must cherish is the gift of prophecy. However, I must quickly say that even before we receive prophecies, our security in this country, leaders, those who are in charge, have given a sign of security alert to this country. Recently, they've given us even streets that people must be careful how to drive. And again, having said that, even the recent phenomenon, what has happened in Ivory Coast and other places, quickly also suggests to us that we as a people must be mindful and maybe more intense about security. But let me say quickly and strongly that we should not run the security of this country on the back of prophecies. Our people must be professionals and do what they have been trained to do. Prophecy is for the church and its members, so we must pray, seek the face of God. But the real security aspect of this country, those who are in charge, must be up and doing.
Are you saying that prayer cannot reverse this threat?
You know, prayer must do what prayer is supposed to do, and human action must do what human action is supposed to do. What do I mean? For instance, we know it's unfortunate, but it's the reality of our time that now you have people who want to go to where people have rally, you know, hotels, churches, mosques, and do some of these things, blow themselves up. It's all over, even the advanced countries. But because of this new challenge, now people are improving their security system. I just arrived from Kenya over the weekend, and now you drive the highway towards the airport and camera everywhere, every single vehicle. You will be in camera. Now, I've been to Kenya how many times? By my recent visit, around the airport, everything has changed. The real security, and everybody, you park your car and you walk through and they check everything, you know. Now you come to our country and now on our roads, yes, I have security police people all over in the name of security alert. But I ask myself, what has changed? They did that in Kenya recently. Al-Shabaab stopped a bus and I asked everybody, come down. They did, wanted to separate Christians from Muslims. And they said, no, we were Kenyans first before becoming Christian Muslims. Now, we need to activate that publicly Christian Muslim leaders are going around. And that is the social side of security, social side of protection. Now, government must be part of this process, either through National Peace Council or somebody must consciously know that if you have security alert, we don't work only with military, police, but even civil society, traditional leaders, religious leaders. We did that during Ebola. They brought all of us together. That is the role you can play. Now, during security alert, what is the role of religion?
So what do we do with these prophecies? Because indeed, T.B. Joshua is not the only person who is coming out to say that in this month, and this is a specific prophecy, in this month of April.
One, this should not leave us in fear, unnecessary anxiety. It shouldn't. Like I said earlier on, that before even we heard from our friend in Nigeria, our own people with the analysis, what they know, have placed this country in a higher alert.
Shouldn't the Christian Council, for instance, be organizing a national prayer, fasting and prayer, session for everybody to take part? And let's reverse. After all, the Bible says, God reveals to redeem.
Yes, but if even we want to do that, it's not just because somebody has given prophecy about our security, our national security. We shouldn't. We shouldn't. Our national security people must be on top of what they are supposed to do.
Let's take this discussion further and speak with Superintendent Cephas Atta. He's Director of Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service. Good evening to you, Cephas. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you.
A lot of terror alerts have been issued. Is this coming specifically, your statement, because of the prophecies?
Not really. We have been dealing with the context. We have been dealing with the circumstance. And we think that there's a need for us to assure our countrymen and women that the police and their sister security agencies are in charge of the situation. If you cast your mind back a little while, you realize that not long ago, there was a terrorist attack in Burkina Faso, just over the top of Ghana.
Right.
Then it shifted to our left side, where Côte d'Ivoire was also hit. This is the context we are talking about. This is the circumstances we are talking about. And in all these situations, some security arrangements have been put in place. Once again, in all these situations, the people of Ghana have expressed some concerns, especially with the security experts coming out and drawing their analysis and, drawing lines of coordinates and other things and placing Ghana in line of attack. There we sleep and wake up, and no meaner person than a known prophet also adding onto it. So definitely the people of Ghana who express some concern, they will feel panic, they will be alarmed. And it was just proper that we as a security institution worth our salt would come out to allay the fears of our countrymen and women and assure them of what we are doing to ensure that we don't undergo such attacks.
Before these prophecies, Cephas, what did your intelligence team gather? Did they have any information regarding, such a terror?
No, we wouldn't come out and share such pieces of information in public. Some of these kind of information is meant to be dealt with by the security agencies. So we are not coming out to say, prior to this, Ghana, we had picked pieces of information to the effect that Ghana was going to be hit and those kind of things.
But do you have periodic alerts? Do you have periodic alerts?
What we are more concerned about is what we are doing to prevent any such attack. What we are more concerned about is public education and getting our countrymen and women empowered so that they will be able to help the security agencies to fight this cancer.
So how effective is your public education?
Yeah, it is going to peak in the coming days. We have started in a way, you remember, where the Director General in charge of operations reading the speech of Inspector General of Police during the Easter at Nkwetia, call on the general public to be wide awake and avoid picking pieces of parcels on the ground and other things. We intend to peak this kind of education in the ensuing days so that we will all be empowered and have some personal security arrangements in place, while the security agencies, the higher ones, also deal with the higher issues as far as the security concerning terrorism is concerned.
So are we going to see an enhancement in security apart from the education?
Already there are some enhancements. You go to some of the shopping malls, some of the vital public installations. And
will these prophecies, push you to enhance security?
We are saying that it is not the prophecy which is triggering our operational strategy. This prophecy is just an addendum as I indicated earlier, there have been indications, there have been, and I mentioned the issue about context, where Côte d'Ivoire has been hit, where Burkina Faso has been hit. And already, because of these happenings and others across the world, some measures have been put in place. This is just an addendum. So that also adds up to the wake-up call.
Immediate measures we are going to see from now?
You see visible police presence in our in public places, in our vital installations, in gathering. Other police, in fact, the entire operation is going to be hinged on intelligence, because we need to nip it in the bud. We need to pick pieces of information that we can synthesize, we can evaluate, and then ensure that it doesn't happen at all in Ghana here.
Well, many thanks to you, Cephas Atta. That was Superintendent Cephas Atta, Director of Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with the international segment. So you will get to know what is coming up on the interactive segment. But first, let's look at stories making headlines. Narcotics Control Board says it will confiscate all properties of anyone involved in drugs trade, revealing it has already confiscated properties of Nayeli Ametefe. Ghana Police Service urges Ghanaians to remain calm amidst terrorist prophecy by popular Nigerian prophet TB Joshua. Also, the debate about validation of the voters' register continues as a member of the VCRAC CRAP committee reveals they never recommended validation as a method to clean the register. And in business, Bank of Ghana indicates plans to issue directives aimed at enhancing regulation in the financial sector. Ifwa Akwa Harrison is here to tell us what's coming up in the next few minutes.
Hello, Aisha. Good evening. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Well, let me get right into it. Coming up later on the interactive segment, the Ghana Police Service, by now we know, has issued a press release for Ghanaians to keep calm in the wake of Nigerian prophet TB Joshua's prophecy.
The new banks and SDR bill will be.
A 10-year-old in the Volta region has been gunned. A 10-year-old in the Volta region gunned down his 13-year-old friend. You weigh in on what could have caused the violence, and female officers in Mexico have been asked to undergo tests for attractiveness. I can't wait to hear from you on Joy News Interactive within the hour, so please stay with us. Aisha.
Certainly, we all can't wait to hear from Ifwa Akwa Harris and see the details of the interesting headlines she's giving. Let's get into other stories on Joy News Prime. The Public Account Committee is set to invite the Ghana Football Association to appear before it and respond to why it has failed to pay monies owed the Foreign Affairs Ministry since 2011. This comes after 2011 to 2013 Auditor General's report highlighted instances of misappropriation of thousands of Ghana cedis in foreign missions and departments under the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Chairman of the committee, Emmanuel, was unhappy about the development, asked the ministry to go a step further to retrieve all that monies.
The Kinshasa mission in 2011 paid 2 cooks to assist in culinary arrangement for the Black Stars in their match against Brazzaville. They were paid an amount of $1,242.74 years ago. Several letters written to the Ghana Football Association to get them to pay has yielded no result.
What happens is that if you recruit people externally, they don't know whether the money is owed by the GFA or it's owed by the mission. As far as they are concerned, they've performed a service and they expect to be paid. If we do not step in to make the payment as the mission, nobody wants to see a headline in the newspapers in that country, 2 cooks owed money by the government of Ghana for Ghana Black Stars feeding arrangements. So we do it and we expect the organizations to refund to us.
Can she tell us the reasons for not heeding to the letters that they've written to the GFA? Or what type of response?
Madam, what you do is that the committee will take it upon itself to invite GFA here. Colleagues, with your indulgence, if you agree to that, that will feature in the recommendation. So we'll bring GFA.
Chairman of the committee is also urging the Foreign Affairs Minister to take legal action against the Ghanaian agent, Isaac Adomako, for failing to pay up $5,839.87 for the repatriation of 8 stranded Ghanaians in Tehran in 2013 after a failed football contract. The matter has been referred to the Attorney General's Department for advice, but the committee says that is not enough.
But this borders on criminality. So why didn't you report the matter to the police? Now we can't find him. Is that not correct? Adomako have been missions to attempt to locate Mr. Adomako have been unsuccessful. They want the Attorney General rather to go and chase Mr. Adomako.
Because Mr. Adomako is in Ghana.
So report to the police. You take Ghanaians to go and give a job outside. They go, the friend is backfired. You have deceived them. And we end up, because we didn't want Ghanaians to suffer unnecessarily outside. That is a good decision you made, and spend money on their behalf. You mean let the man arrive. He should have been picked up.
Well, there's
so
no statute.
Our suggestion, colleagues, with your indulgence, if it's acceptable, please cause the man's arrest and withdraw what is the Attorney General's office. Let the police handle the matter.
Meanwhile, Foreign Affairs Minister says it has initiated steps to retrieve some 5,000 euros from a retired former consular officer at the Ghana missions in Paris, France. The report revealed that over 14,000 consular fee at the Paris mission has not been accounted for. The consular officer, who is now retired, Elizabeth Morvey, has been implicated and has so far been made to refund 9,276.51 euros. The sector minister, Hannah Tete, said the ministry has contacted the Attorney General for direction on legal processes to take in retrieving the remaining 5,133.49 euros.
As election 2016 draws closer, the urge to get accurate and informative news will lie on the shoulders of journalists. That requires adequate preparation by the Inky fraternity. However, the Ghana Journalists Association believes that mandate cannot be fulfilled if journalists are not well equipped. For this reason, the association is challenging civil society groups to support journalists with resources to enable them report accurately.
At a ceremony to launch the 21st GJA Awards in Accra on Monday, President of the association, Afil Moni, challenged civil society to support the media in discharging their duties. Journalists are required to send in their entries from now till May 18. The awards ceremony is slated for 20th May this year. For the first time, the Ghana Journalist Association is opening up the slots for the Komla Dumont Most Promising Young Journalist of the Year and the Professor P.V. Ansah Journalist of the Year for nominations. The public is expected to nominate and give reasons why those nominees deserve to win the coveted prize in not more than 120 words.
The theme has been chosen in acknowledgement of the need for strong collaboration between the media and civil society to promote a rational and credible coverage of the election. We cannot achieve that laudable goal without the support of civil society. We hope the theme will constantly remind all and sundry about the need to promote decent coverage of the election to help bring about credible and peaceful results.
A report by George Yelson Vine for Joy News.
Now, management of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital has finally sacked the president of the hospital's Senior Staff Association, Charles Ofer-Palm. The hospital, a letter addressed to Mr. Ofer-Palm and signed by the Chief Executive Officer of the Kolebu CEO, Dr. Gilbert Buckle, said the decision was taken upon recommendation by the institution's disciplinary committee, and the termination of appointment takes effect from April 6, 2016. Let's do other stories. Well, we'll take the entertainment news shortly after this break. Draw the curtains on Joy News Prime. Let's now go to stories making headlines. And Narcotics Control Board says it will confiscate all properties of anyone involved in drugs trade, revealing it has already confiscated properties of Naelia Metepe. Ghana Police Service urges Ghanaians to remain calm amid Sarah's prophecy by popular Nigerian prophet TB Joshua. Also, the debate about validation of the voters' register continues as a member of the VCRA CRAP committee reveals they never recommended validation as a method to clean the register. And Business Bank of Ghana indicates plans to issue directives aimed at enhancing regulation in the financial sector. Our Public Accounts Committee is set to invite the Ghana Football Association to appear before it and respond to why it has failed to pay monies owed the Foreign Affairs Ministry since 2011. For more news, join us on myjoyonline.com. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. On behalf of the rest of the team, good evening.